Hi everybody, today we're going to read this story called Flapper VC. It was sunrise on the last day of spring when the little white egg hatched and out came a fluffy little pigeon. First he learnt to drink milk, then he learnt to eat seeds, and finally he learnt how to fly. When he was just 3 months old, Flapper was taken away from his loft, then released. Flapper could see his loft in the distance and flew straight to it. It wasn't long before he was taken so far from his loft that he couldn't even see it, but somehow he knew where it was and flew straight home. He did the same thing every day for the next 6 weeks, going further and further away from his loft each time, but he always found the way back. While Flapper was training, a war was being fought far away. Australia sent troops to fight, and many animals were sent to help, including horses, dogs, donkeys, and pigeons. The pigeons did very important jobs carrying messages back and forth through the jungle. Flapper's owner thought he would be good at carrying messages and decided to send Flapper to the army for carrier pigeon training. First, Flapper had to get used to his new mobile loft. The loft went wherever the soldiers were sent. Then he had to get used to the sound of gunfire and explosions. He couldn't let them distract him, but instead had to fly home with a message strapped to his leg. The explosion scared him so much that he got lost on his first training flight, finally arriving home well after dark. When Flapper finished his training, he was put on a ship and sent off to war. Flapper's ship dropped anchor off an island to the north of Australia called Manu Island, and he was taken ashore with the soldiers. Flapper had never heard so much noise. There were aeroplanes, tanks, trucks and soldiers everywhere, and in the distance, the terrible sounds of battle. Flapper was sent on his first mission the next day. He was with a patrol deep in the jungle when the soldiers needed to send an urgent message back to base. Flapper had a message attached to his leg and was released, but on the way he was shot at by enemy soldiers. He managed to avoid the bullets, but in his panic, Flapper became lost. Many hours later, Flapper found his mobile loft back at the base camp, arriving home tired and sore. But somehow he had lost his message on the way. Even though Flapper had failed his first mission, he was needed for a patrol the very next day, and 2 other pigeons were sent with him. They were both bigger and stronger birds than Flapper, so they would be used first if needed. The patrol was deep in the jungle when, bang, bang, enemy bullets whistled through the jungle, just missing Flapper. One enemy bullet hit the radio the patrol had with it, smashing it beyond repair. Enemy soldiers had quickly surrounded the patrol. The men needed to get a message through to let the rest of their battalion know that they needed help. But with no radio, the pigeons would have to do the job. The biggest pigeon was taken from the basket and released with a message. But as he rose up into the air, enemy fire rang out through the jungle and the pigeon fell from the sky. Rain clouds were gathering above the jungle as a message was attached to the second pigeon and he was released. He flapped his wings hard and had almost cleared the treetops when, once again, enemy rifle fire rang out and he fell to the jungle floor. Flapper was now the patrol's last hope of getting a message through. Explosions and gunfire rocked the jungle, getting louder and louder. As the soldiers took him from his basket, Flapper was trembling. A message was attached to him. Thick smoke from exploding shells drifted through the jungle and, to make matters worse, Heavy rain began to fall. Then Flapper was released. A bullet whistled past him, then another, but Flapper ducked and weaved his way through the smoke. Suddenly there was a terrible explosion nearby. Flapper was thrown off balance. Confused, he turned this way and that. Then the smoke cleared and he saw a gap through the trees. The rain stung Flapper's eyes and the wind blew hard, tearing at his feathers. He could no longer see the jungle below, but he knew which way to go. Lightning flared and thunder boomed, but he flew on. Then, with his strength almost gone, he saw through the storm a tiny flash of light in the distance. He had made it home. Flapper settled on his perch, too tired to shuffle along to the little feed bowl at the end. A soldier came and carefully undid the strap holding the message Flapper had carried home. 2 hours later, the patrol was rescued, thanks to Flapper's bravery. Flapper VC was inspired by the true story of Australian carrier pigeon DD43Q879, who was awarded the Dickon Medal for conspicuous gallantry and devotion to duty. It is the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross, the highest award for bravery. The medal was awarded posthumously in 1947. Posthumously means after he died. This book is a tribute to Flapper and all the animals that have gone to war, many of them paying the ultimate sacrifice. It is sad to note that because of Australia's strict quarantine laws, very few of these loyal creatures were allowed back into Australia. Long may their stories be remembered. And there's a fact sheet in the back here, and it says, pigeons can live from 3 to 5 years through to 15 years, and they mate for life. They lay 2 white eggs that both parents incubate for a little under 3 weeks. The squabs, which is the name of the chicks, are fed on crop milk by both parents. During World War II, in the islands north of Australia, radios weren't reliable in the jungle. Radio lines could be cut, portable wireless often failed in the extreme humidity, and they could not transmit a map or sketch of enemy positions, but a carrier pigeon could. Carrier pigeons can start training when they are 12 weeks old. It is believed they use low-frequency sound waves to mentally map their environments and navigate back to their lofts. In 1942, at the height of World War II, when the call went out for carrier pigeons, 13,500 birds were donated in Australia. Once they were trained, the carrier pigeons could rise up to 2,000 feet over a distance of 5 kilometres. They delivered messages through storms and gunfire over mountains and seas and rarely failed a mission. The messages saved many lives. 2 carrier pigeons attached to the Australian Army have received the Dickon Medal for bravery, the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross. And there we have it, Flapper VC.